Mikey, and today we're back on the AI tutorial. So today we're quite possibly going to be doing the last ever episode of this, depending on whether I want to go any further into it or not. We'll probably add some draw stuff on as well. That'll probably be the very last video, just wrapping everything up. But today what we're going to be doing is the making child population, and we'll probably go onto the reset as well because it's not that difficult. So we're going to start off, we're just going to copy this loop. Now remember, this is the loop that goes through the whole population. We're then also going to take this loop, which is looping through all the steps. As I say, we use these loops a lot. And then there's the bit I always forget, so we're going to make sure we get it right. AI directions, we're going to ignore these. AI directions. IH, this is pretty standard so far. We're just picking them up from the index and the step, which would probably be S to be honest, but I will. And we're going to copy them from the one that we've chose up here. So you see the minimum index, which was the most efficient dot, has been copied into slot 0. So what we're then going to do is use that, so we've got slot 0 and the H, and we're just going to randomize it ever so slightly. So you can change these as much as you want, but I decided on -1 and 1. So it just changes it a little bit, and that adds the variation, which means that the fittest can kind of proceed. And that is literally it. We're just going to increment the mini step and move on to the reset. So a few things we need to reset. Just minimum index for obvious reasons. Amount hit, I don't think we've done. We'll just check. Have we just crashed? It does it so often. I'm not sure why. Yeah, we do have it. So we're going to set it to 0. By the way, if you haven't noticed, I'm not incredibly familiar with this because I've basically been on holiday for the last 4 weeks, so it was kind of done in the previous videos were coded in advance. We're going to increment the total steps, and we're going to set the alarm, this is very important actually, to the max time times the room speed. Now you may say this looks quite familiar because that line of code we did there, except that's just max time, so we're going to do that instead. That's what I mean, I'm not entirely familiar with this. And then we should be good, I think. We'll just run it and give it a go. We might need to change a bit to the draw event, I'll have to see. So we've got the first population running here, so one of them's hit, so then it should at some point after the timer's run out, yep, there we go, restarted. The problem you can see there is they're all over the place. There's no real you can see the successor, if you would, of the last one hasn't actually made it all the way in. So, and this is to do with the draw event. So in here the draw event is a lot more elaborate, so let me just talk through why this is. The key thing with this draw event is this is the draw event for the first run. So what we need to do is say if steps equals 0, so if this is the first run, and then we're just gonna tab this over, then run that, else, and this is where it gets a little bit complicated, but I'll keep it simple for this. So we'll just say copy this, I think I think that is actually the same there. We'll leave it actually. We'll leave that as is for the time being. We'll comment this bit out. We'll go back to that in the very last video we do. But here is the issue. So again, this is running it for the very first run. So we need to put if steps equals 0. This is what I was trying to do earlier, but this bit here is the visual, this is the actual movement, so that's why the movement wasn't working there. So there we go, and this is where the steps we put in, so the AIX and stuff, or not the X, the AI directions comes into play. So we use the same thing as we've done here. We could just do plus equals, it's much more efficient. Plus equals costs. In fact, we can literally just copy this over because it is identical. And we can do the same, we can just copy this for the Y, just remember to change the Y and change this to sin. That's very important. Then we're going to increment the current step with the I and increment the final steps. Now let me just talk you through what is going on here. So you may say the code here is identical, which it is, so we'll go into optimizing it into the next video and wrapping stuff up, but this is the important bit, is this overwrites the very next step with a new random direction. But in this scenario we already have all the directions planned out, so we don't need to do that. It's not necessary. So we should see now that the second generation is a bit smarter, so they should head in the right general direction. And there you go. You can see they're all heading in the right general direction, just not very efficiently. And the more times you run it, the more times it should work, apart from the fact we've got an outrange. So I think this was in our step event. We had a few little bits which I thought I would leave until it made sense to put them in. So here, the child population, which is further down, our for loop, which loops through the steps, needs to be ever so slightly bigger. And the reason for this is that it needs to last a little bit longer. So we need to make 50 extra steps, and whatever. It means that in the extra time that it has, it's got enough steps to follow. 50 always seems to work for me. If not, just increment it a little bit more. And then it just prevents the errors, really, or it should do. We'll see. As I say, it's a long time ago since I've coded it, so we may have to go back and check over again. Yeah, we may well have to do that. So there's somewhere, I remember writing this ages ago, and there is definitely somewhere where I've forgotten to do this. So I'll just quickly skim through this, but it shouldn't take too long. I know it's not here. We got rid of the fittest because it was unimportant. We optimized that because that wasn't right. This is just slightly coded differently. The child population, I believe, is the same, so it's not there. In fact, I don't think it's here at all, which is interesting. We'll add in the draw events now, and we'll go back to that in the wrapping up episode. So if we create a draw GUI event, yep. So if we add a new event, draw GUI, we're just going to add a few debugging things which make it a little bit easier. So in this case, we're going to have, let's get rid of that, two things which tell us some information. These are quite handy. So we're going to go with 1010 current iteration string steps, and that should be fairly straightforward. We'll copy this. I'm going to do a similar one, but just 20 down, so at 30. This is going to be the amount hit. The amount hit isn't strictly essential, because whilst you're looking for the quickest route, you're not really looking to get them all 100% accurate, because if you would, you could just send them all on the same route. So that's why the amount hit isn't essential, but you should see it go up anyway as we go along. If you didn't have the error, we'll sort the error out in the next video. We should see there it goes up. Okay, current iteration 1. What we do need to do there is just add 1 to the steps, so it makes it look a little bit nicer. It's not essential, but now there we go. Current iteration 1. Amount hit is currently 0. Now it's 1, and we should eventually see another 1 hit or something. Or we just gone to iteration 2 where they get a bit smarter. There you go, they're going on for a little bit longer, but then we error. So yeah, there is that to definitely work on. Actually, it's just suddenly occurred to me that the max time variable that we've got set up never changes. So it may be worth checking that. So these have nothing in. That's not important. There is definitely somewhere where I've changed the max time because it resets in the end of the step event. So there is definitely a point where I've said we need to shorten that time, but I can't remember where we've put it. So yeah, as I say, it's a long time ago, so I do apologise for that, but we're doing a wrapping up episode anyway, so we're going to do a few little bits in that next episode, and we'll finish off with that error. But you can see it is working for a short amount of time, so yeah, I don't want to waste any more time on this. We'll finish that off in the next video. So if you like this video, remember to like, subscribe, or whatever you guys want to do, and I'll talk to you in the next one.